Inner Voice, a heartfelt chat with Dr. Foojan.
Eliminate stress, reduce anxiety, and decrease depression. Dr. Foojan Zeine's awareness integration theory has helped thousands like you get incredible life-changing results. The Foojan app gives you her evidence-based treatment in the palm of your hand. Download today.
Do you wish to wake up one day and hit the life reset button? Life Reset, the awareness integration path to create the life you want by Dr. Foojan Zeine, helps you navigate crucial life areas, heal the past traumas, and cultivate fulfilling relationships and careers. Life Reset is your guide to a profound journey to reshape your life. Grab your copy on Amazon or Audible now and embark on a path to a more joyous and fulfilled life.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Inner Voice podcast, a heartfelt chat with you, with my guest, and with you, beautiful listeners and viewers. I'm Dr. Foojan Zeine. I'm a psychotherapist, an author, and the originator of the awareness integration theory. And for all of you who are interested in the awareness integration theory, please go check out Foojan app, because we go through 31 areas of your life, the important areas of your life, and you can go through this guided journaling, guided meditation that it really supports and helps you in life and create improvement in your life. We've already seen like 65% improvement in different areas of life just by simply going through the guided imagery and the guided journaling. So I hope you do that and that it works for you. It's so great to be with you today. In this episode, I chat with Celia Landman. She's a mindfulness educator, and she offers support to teens and adults. She draws from experiences working with those impacted by trauma, addiction, and anxiety. And she has created customized meditation and visualization and trainings to reconnect everyone with their own wholeness, about who they are. We talked about not abandoning yourself. We talked about how to be with suffering in a way that that you could not only accept it, tolerate it, honor it. She was ordained by Thich Nhat Hahn and as a member of the Plum village community of engaging Buddhists. And she's also a certified trainer with for the Center for Nonviolent Communication. And today we're actually going to talk about her wonderful book, When the Whole World Tips, Parenting Through Crisis with Mindfulness and Balance. She has gone through her own suffering, and as a parent, she's had to endure with her daughter's suffering, and all of that not only is in the book, but also she tells you about how to be with that suffering, not abandoning yourself, how to take care of yourself. And in this book, she has specific guidance and meditations in order to walk you through that path that she has gone through and has that experience and is here to be able to serve others. She describes how to find balance while navigating seemingly impossible parenting situations. You can get her book and anywhere that books are there, and you can also check her out at celialandman.com. Now, subscribe to this podcast. I'd love to hear from you. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Connect with me through my website, whojanzeine.com, or any of my social media. I'd love to connect with you, and I love to hear from you. So, connect with me. All right. Now, without further ado, here's Celia Landman.
Intentional Parenting, a practical guide to awareness integration theory, written by Dr. Jafari, Dr. Foojan Zeine, and Dr. Manoukian, three experts in human development, is your step-by-step guide to raising a healthy child prepared for a culturally integrated world. You're supported in parenting infants to adolescents using the latest evidence-based scientific research on parenting. Order your copy on Amazon now.
Eliminate stress, reduce anxiety, and decrease depression. Dr. Foojan Zeine's awareness integration theory has helped thousands like you get incredible life-changing results. The Foojan app gives you her evidence-based treatment in the palm of your hand. Download today.
Celia Landman, it's so nice to have you on the show.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm really happy to be here with you.
You have a book which is When the Whole World Tips. I love the name. And you share about your own experience, about parenting, about what you have experienced in your own family. And you bring that into the book, not only from your own perspective and the experiences and the stories that you've had to go through, and your family members have had to go through, but also in how to be with it, how to release it, how to learn from it, how to gain the wisdom that the experiences give us. And you bring that to your readers and our audience today. So first, I like to ask you to share a little bit about who you are and what brought you to want to share this with the world in your book.
Yeah. Well, I was writing my thesis for a master's degree in mindfulness studies. And, there were a lot of choices. And what I really wanted to share about, the more I learned about the practice of mindfulness and how it worked in my life, I wanted to share this aspect of mindful presence with other parents, because I encountered, and I think anyone who has a child, we've experienced pain, we've experienced suffering, being a witness, being someone who loves somebody else. And I knew so many parents who were getting just destabilized and their lives were coming apart because of the suffering of their kids. And I had gone through some big things with my kids, and walking through it and practicing with it in a different way, I wanted to share what I had experienced, what I had learned about it, and also to destigmatize a lot of the shame that goes along with parenting a child who has a mental health diagnosis or who is engaging in self-harm or some form of being outside of what we wanted.
Definitely. I think that with parenthood, the guilt is always there due to the responsibility. And somehow, when we see a loved one go through some suffering, as a human being to another human being, obviously we have the compassion, we hold them, and sometimes we feel their suffering with them. But as a parent, I think that because of the responsibility, you also hold as if like it's my responsibility not to allow my loved one to suffer. So we kind of go into this engaging concept, which shame, as you said, keeps coming as if I didn't do what I was supposed to do in order to have my loved ones, kind of to be raised in feathers and not suffer at all. But you beautifully also explain why suffering is part of life and how that it exists and what it has for us and how we can be with suffering, not only of ours, but also others. Can you share a little bit about that?
So I think there's a belief that if I do everything right, if I know the exact right thing, no one will be in pain. I won't be in pain. Life will be something I really want, that I have the ability to control what's going on in someone else's life. And I even think, if I work hard enough, or I know enough, or if I parent in a certain way, I can be that enough of a force to keep my kids safe or well, or from disappointment, from depression. And the truth of it is that I can do a lot of things, but I cannot control the genetic material. I can't control the cells in someone else's body. And when I say it, it sounds kind of ridiculous, but we hold this belief that somehow we did something, somehow we contributed in some way. And also, I can't control my child's mood. I wish I could, because if I could, I would always, you'd always feel happy. You'd feel joy. You connect with your purpose. I would do a lot if I could, but I don't have that power. And I think when parents are confronted with that, this truth, and you don't need to be a parent. You can own a pet. You can have a partner. When we're confronted with the pain of someone else that we deeply care about, it affects us. For me, one of the pivotal points was I heard about this study that had been done where they took two people who were in relationship and they wired them up, for functional MRIs, and they gave one person a shock and the other one they simply told, we're going to be giving a shock to somebody you care about, that you're connected to. So the person who was not being given the shock ran the same pain circuitry as in their brain as the other person, minus a specific locator site. And it wasn't a choice. It wasn't something that they thought about and then they decided they would feel a certain way about it. It was an automatic response. So we can't control that we feel, that we transmit, that the pain of somebody else is also is painful for us. And then it's, what do we do with that?
Well, definitely. I think that neuroscience also has shown that we have the mirror neurons, where we mirror someone's mood and experiences when we are close to them, whether we're close in vicinity or close in attachment, like if our emotions are attached, which we are, into our family members and the loved ones that are there with us. So you talk about the suffering itself and the meaning that we give suffering, and the causes that create suffering. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, that we have bodies, we have a world that is unpredictable. The world doesn't promise us the things that we want. And when we step onto that shakiness, it can be incredibly destabilizing. It can bring up a lot of anxiety in us because things we thought were certain aren't always certain. And what I've practiced with over and over is coming back to my own ability to be present with my own pain, with my own suffering. And that's the ground, that's the stability. This, it's kind of like this fierce partnership, fierce friendship with myself. That's what can give me the confidence and the trust that something will always be there. And that something is my own care, because there's no guarantee. We know, and it's this hard truth. We know anything can happen at any time, anything. But the more I can promise that I will be there for myself no matter what happens, no matter what's happening in my child's life, what's happening in my life, I'm going to show up for myself with care. That can really help bind my anxiety to having to make things just one way.
Very much. I've been a therapist for 30 years, and I work with trauma a lot and addiction. So obviously there's a lot of suffering that has been there. And I know even for me to sit in the room with someone who's suffering and has been suffering and having to go talk about their suffering and healing it, that it a lot of time lands on my body, lands on my psyche. And I take it with me, to my home. So it's a lot of what you talked about. Self-care is important. And also working with parents who are looking at whether, their child is actually suffering from an illness, or the worry that they have about their child, going through addiction and drug use, and whether in a way that they're growing up and they no longer have full control. And we could see this concept of how much you could get engrossed in that type of anxiety and harm yourself, and not necessarily even be useful to the people who are around you when you are not taking care of yourself. And sometimes with you not taking care of yourself, in the hope that you want to take care of them, we create more burden, we create more issues for that person, versus, like you shared, if I can at least calm this place within me, then even if I can't do anything about the reality of what they're suffering, maybe at least I can bring a little bit of calmness, a little bit of light around what they're going through, so that they could get the power of handling it to themselves. Because obviously I can't take somebody else's suffering away, but if I can create a space for them to be able to do it, then that might be also a way to be there. And that's, I think, how you were there for yourself and your children. And now you're being that through the book for all the readers to be able to get that. So the book is When the Whole World Tips: Parenting Through Crisis with Mindfulness and Balance by Celia Landman. Would you share a little bit about this concept of how to be with you more in details, for you to be the healthy one, or becoming healthy, so that you can also be there for other people who are suffering around you?
So, and you brought up this great point about the transmission of emotion, and there's a lot of studies that show anxious parents make anxious children, because not only is something wrong in their lives, now they've got a parent who's kind of, vibrating around. So now we have two problems. I have what's going on in me, and I have a parent who's really not happy or helping or okay. They're not okay in any sense. And also, when we fall into the worry and the rumination and all the things we do when we're trying to control or to limit and make the world really small, we tend to believe that if I only feel right here, if I only feel this part of the spectrum, I won't have to feel the pain, because the pain's going to be too big. And it's such a paradoxical thing that the more I can open my own heart to the pain and the fear and whatever comes up, the uncertainty, or even that protection of numbness, whatever's there, the more I can just see it and learn how to decouple. So this is the part that's the mindfulness part, where instead of being all fearful or all numb, I actually step into, can I be with the edges of this feeling, even if it's so big? Can I hold a little bit of it? Can I teach it how to breathe? I like to do a lot of embodied practices, and I put them in the book. So it's like, where is it in my body? Where's the tension around this? Where's the pain? And can I just breathe with that? Teach that to breathe a little bit with me. So instead of being like this, totally blended with my emotion, I start to be able to care for it. And the more I can care for it, the more resilience I have in my life to be with the range of feelings that come up. And then when I can do this, when I can, when I can name it, when I can accept it, and my heart's open to it. I'm not accepting it and saying, and get out of here. There's no reason you should be like, this is wrong, this is bad. I'm keeping my heart open to my own experience. Then I can show up for my kid with a really different energy. You know, that, and it actually can help that the kids don't feel they're burdening me, or that I have more capacity to keep my heart open to them, because I know whatever happens, I can be there. And I was, when I was looking at material for the book, I encountered these reports from parents who they had adult daughters with borderline personality disorder, and they'd been hospitalized numerous times for suicide attempts. And after a while, the parents stopped going to the hospital. They even would say, I wish I never had this child, because the pain was too much to bear. The accompanying this child in their illness was too much. So they shut down, they closed off. It was safer to be, to protect my own heart. So when I read that, it was like, yeah, I mean, I can totally understand it. And when you don't take care of your own pain, when you don't have a place to pour it out, to be with it, the only way for some people is to just cut it off because it's too big. So when you do this practice, and it's starting with ourselves, and it may be getting support, it may be getting, seeking a professional such as yourself to listen, other parents, whatever it support you get, it helps to empty out our own pain so I can accompany my child.
Yes, it brought this analogy for me of how, when we were wanting to go into a cold pool, we put a little bit of our toe in there and just kind of wait until we could tolerate and make it normalize a little bit of that feeling. And then we put a little bit more of our feet in there, and slowly but surely our tolerance gets to a place where we could experience and the water in a way that it's no longer, devastating to us. But I also, like, if I'm freezing and I'm suffering through the coldness of the water, but I'm also bringing my child into the water, it's not going to be anywhere that I can support them, because they're going to be suffering and I'm going to be suffering. But this concept of containing an emotion within yourself, tolerating the emotion, and then honoring the emotion and being with it. And that's where your pretty much your relationship with suffering changes. It's not that the suffering is not there, your relationship with it kind of changes. So instead of fighting with it, grappling with it, and making it more, so not only that the issue that you're suffering with is there, but there's now a pain of rejection of it, the pain of, a war, creating a war with it is on top of that. So it's more like, can I at least stop the other pieces and honor whatever is happening so that I can see what the message is and be with it and take care of myself? And by taking care of myself, maybe I could possibly be a role model to my child, because if they watch me having the ability to do this, maybe they'll take that on for themselves. And then the other part is that the path is open, that I could be with them. Because if I'm suffering too much from their suffering, like you said, all I'm going to do is to shut down and move away. And even if I'm moving away, but internally, I'm still grappling with it, with the shame and the guilt and what you had talked about. It doesn't do any, it doesn't do any good. It's not relieving anything. Even moving away is not relieving anything.
Yeah, because then you're adding more there's another layer of shame, and I can't even be with this. I can't even do it. And also the water analogy too. The Buddha said 2,600 years ago, and I do use a lot of Buddhist practices in the book. He said, a drowning man can't save another. You have to be on the shore. You have to have your feet firmly on the shore to save anyone else. So, and not that we can actually save our children, but for me to understand my presence matters. The quality of my presence really matters in our relationship. And how I am with my own self matters hugely. The quality of connection I have with my own self is really going to determine my quality of connection with others. So being able to, like you were saying, like to do that kind of titration, just starting with a little bit, like I call it like a drop. Can I be with a drop of this pain? Because sometimes if I have to run in, it's going to be a tsunami. It's too much. Can I just be with the edge of how do I keep my center? How do I keep my compassion for myself in this? And just be with a little till I can open to really see what's the best thing for me? What's the best thing to take care of me? So it's always like this balance too. It's like care for my, am I losing my balance? And then when I notice that irritation or frustration or anger or sadness or despair, hopelessness, that means I really need. And then when I can build that part up, and then I see somebody else is going to, I can offer them, presence or support, or even just letting them know that they have a place in my heart no matter what. I mean, I think kids, I worked in a rehab with teenagers, and I think for them to know that somebody will always love them no matter what is such a healing gift for them.
Very much. And I've, like you said, I've worked in the field of addiction for 30 years. And it's interesting that the ones who use until they overdose or they get worse and worse is because sometimes they go into a place of nobody loves me. I am so useless to the world that let me just numb myself and kind of, just go into my suffering and be there because there's nobody who loves me. And I can say through the time they've done so much damage to that relationship that, like you said, people have had to kind of honor themselves, or they've had to protect themselves, so they kind of moved away. But just like what you said, the ones who have actually, from the worst case scenario, have grabbed on something to move up, it's been that glimpse of a love from someone, which gave them the purpose of wanting to live and wanting to actually, handle the suffering and come out. You also talk about permanence in your, and impermanence, like impermanence, permanence versus impermanence in your book chapter. So can you share a little bit about that from your view?
Yeah, so this, it's a very Buddhist idea of impermanence, but it's based, as the teachings are, on the reality of the world, and that even though we believe we're solid, we're constantly changing, that everything is changing in us and around us all the time. And if I think I can hold on to anything permanent, that anything's going to stay the same, I'm setting myself up for a lot of disappointment. Because as much as I would love that predictability, I would love to order the future and know what it's going to be in certainty and have, we just want permanence. And it's not the way it is, because nobody stays exactly the same. We all keep changing. We're all changed by everything that's happening in the world around us on some level. So coming to terms with this, it can bring up a lot of fear that we are impermanent, that I do have an expiration date. And my kids, they have expiration dates. We all do. And it can be an exquisitely painful thing to even think about and consider the truth that we're just here for a little while. So, but the more comfortable we get with this idea of, I'm not sure, there's no guarantees, it actually allows me to go deeper in my relationships because I know how precious they are. I know they're not permanent. I can deeply appreciate and love people and cherish this time and cherish them, especially aware that I don't know the future.
Yes. When the whole world tips, Parenting Through Crisis with Mindfulness and Balance by Celia Landman. Celia, you've put a lot of amazing meditation and exercises into your book. And I hope that everybody gets to not only read it, but to practice with it. Is there anything we haven't touched upon that you really want people to know about you, your experience, the book?
The thing that I've really recognized is that the only certainty in my whole life is that I'm going to show up for myself with love and acceptance, no matter what, and I call it I am not going to abandon myself. And it's given me this calmness that can enable me to be with a lot of stuff, because no matter what, I'm going to be there to catch myself. And so it's that place of opening. It's really paradoxical. It's opening to everything that can, the joy and the sorrow that can actually give more stability. It sounds like it's going to just be like rocking the world, but it's really more when I open to it all and I support myself no matter where I am on the continuum. If I'm having, joy and connection, or if I'm having disappointment and loss and mourning, that's the piece that makes a difference for me.
What you said is interesting, because we go through this delusion as if I'm not handling what's happening to me, while I am handling what's happening to me. I just stay in the delusion that I am not, because my body's handling it. If I'm surviving it, if I didn't become psychotic, my ego state didn't just break. If all of that means in some level I am handling it, right? Like if I actually put my body inside the cold pool and I'm still there kind of like shivering and laughing and screaming, I'm still handling it. Not handling it means that my heart would stop and I would be dead. I am handling it, right? But we don't know that we're handling it. We're fighting with it because it's discomfort, but we are handling it. And therefore, what I hear from you is this concept of, can I just be with myself and actually recognize that I am handling it? And this is something, I created a psychology model. It's called awareness integration. And one of the things we do with the trauma is also going back to that memory where the child really thought they didn't handle it. And then yet they survived it. They strategized it. They endured it. The patience was there. However, they got through it. They handled it. And that's why, as a human being, as a grown-up, I'm sitting here and I have the ability to go back to that memory and watch it because I actually handle it. And when you said the word, I'm not going to abandon myself, it came to me that the abandonment of the self is going into this delusion that I didn't handle it, or I'm powerless and I can't handle it, while coming back and really recognizing all along it was me that was handling it anyway. I just didn't give myself credit for it, for the power that I was using at that time of handling it. How does that sound?
Yeah, it also, it's like you're legalizing your whole experience.
Yes.
That it wasn't that, I shoulda, coulda, woulda done better. It was like, and even the trauma response, I mean, I write a little bit about trauma in the book. The trauma response, that was actually there to take care of me. That's what that is. It's my body actually working well, my body and my mind trying to take care of me. So it's just seeing that with that warmth and that accompaniment too, that you wouldn't do what you did as a 5-year-old, as a 40-year-old, you're at a different developmental stage, but really seeing that was okay. There was an okayness in that response. And I know, people get this idea of like, the idea when I talk about equanimity, that you don't feel stuff. It's not that you don't feel anything. You might feel outraged or jealous, or the things you don't even want to look at. You might feel horrified or contemptuous, whatever it is. And it's knowing that it's all okay. It's okay to feel what you feel. It's that permission. And that, it's here for a reason.
Beautiful. Yes. Where can people find you?
Well, I have a website and it's my name. It's Celia, Celia Landman, LANDMAN.com. And that's where you can listen to the meditations and the practices. They're all recorded, they're free. You can download a chapter of the book, see if you like it. And you can also just Google me, and the book is on Barnes & Noble, Amazon, the Parallax website too, who's published it. So I'm out there.
Well, thank you for the gift that you're giving everyone.
Thank you so much. It was really lovely to connect with you, and thank you for the work that you're doing and the way you're contributing in the world.
Thank you, and thank you for the time you gave us.
Sure, my pleasure.
And for all of you who are out there, create an amazing life for yourself and everyone around you. And until next week, bye-bye.
Are you a psychotherapist looking to enhance your practice? The Awareness Integration Therapy, developed by Dr. Foojan Zeine, is a comprehensive guide to the principle and techniques of this powerful therapeutic approach. Join the growing community who have elevated their practice and expanded their skills by embracing Awareness Integration Therapy and witnessing its life-changing impact. Order your copy on Amazon now.
Break free from the forces holding you back. Get the life you deserve. Eliminate stress, reduce anxiety, decrease depression, and start living your full potential. Thousands have used Dr. Foojan Zeine's Awareness Integration Theory, an evidence-based behavioral health breakthrough with incredible life-changing results. Getting rid of past trauma, having fulfilling relationships, increasing earnings, and living their best life. Now, the Foojan app is available to everyone. The app is Dr. Foojan Zeine's Awareness Integration Theory in the palm of your hand. Download the Foojan app today.